Hello friends, in this video I will try to repair this public address amplifier. Let's begin. So here we have a new generation public address amplifier. As you can see, inside it's very simple. Here we have SMPS power supply. This is a Class D amplifier. This is the output module with relays to select the output. This is the input module, and in front we have an audio processor. For those who doesn't know what a public address amplifier, we need this amplifier when we want to put 100 speakers in parallel. We can use usual speakers because 100 speakers put in parallel will be a very low impedance, and that's why we use when we want to put a lot of speakers. These speakers are used in buildings, in railway station or in churches. And in order to put a lot of speakers in parallel, we have this transformer. This from 24 volts sinus wave from amplifier will uprise to 100 volts signal. And speaker for public address has a transformer like this, and this is a step down transformer. And input we have 100 volts amplitude, and output we have 3 or 4 volts amplitude. We will use this improvisation to test this amplifier. Let's put this to the output. Now let's power this up. The screen is on. Power LEDs are on, and LEDs are okay. Let's put this stick on USB input, and now let's play. The volume is to the maximum. All volumes are to the maximum, but we have no sound. Output speaker is enabled. Now let's make a short test. One of these wires should be input signal for power amplifier. You can hear the noise. So white and red wires are the input signal for power amplifier, and I presume that other trees are voltages. But as you can see, we have one LED light and 2 LEDs off. Now let's make some measurements. First of all, let's measure input voltage. Input voltage is 37 volts. It's good. So here we have input 37. This one is the output for transformer. Now let's measure input signal. We have 4 volts. That's not good. Ground, 0 volts. 0 volts and 12 volts. I have to take out this module and check these 2 wires, because I presume this should be 5 volts and 3.3 volts. Let's take out and measure. Here we have a power amplifier module. Now let's find where is the problem. I will use this tool. It's a small amplifier powered by battery. First of all, I play music on USB stick. And now let's check the signal to the output connector, auxiliary output. Let's have a ground. There is no signal or on output. Now let's check the signal on the USB potentiometer. So there is a signal. Now let's check the signal on the input, on the audio input. So that means that the problem is not on the power supply, it's not on this amplifier board, it's on front board, that sound processor. Let's take this board out and test it. So in order to find the problem, I've took out this board. This has volume potentiometers, buttons, relay, output relay switches. This is voltmeter. And here we have digital processor. So from this connector here we have 11 volts, and I took these two wires and I put 11 volts to this board. And I worked more than 5 hours to solve this problem. And that's why I will make a short version for you, and I will tell you what I did and in what order. So let's begin. When I first powered this up with 11 volts, I've noticed these two capacitors here. And this, it's a step down module with 5 volts output on first capacitor. Both capacitors are 220 microfarads at 10 volts. And this input capacitor is rated 25 volts on 11 volts rail. And this second capacitor, it's put in series with two resistors and in parallel with this Zener diode. And on this Zener diode I've measured 1.3 volts and I didn't understand why. And if I had the schematic, this should be a very simple job, but without the schematic was very difficult to find the connection between parts. And after that I've searched output wires, output signal wires. And these two are the output signal wires. They come somewhere here. And I measure here 1.3 volts, but I didn't know what is the value of this SMD Zener diode. And without schematic it's very difficult. After that I put an USB card on USB input and I play the music from USB. And what I've noticed, This sound processor gives signal on this output capacitor, and signal input to this operational amp. This is the schematic of these three operational amps. And I have no signal on the output of this operational amp. And I checked the signal on all amps, and was no signal on any. And then I measured the voltage on each op amp. And what shocked me is that on 4 and 8, on 4 we have ground, and pin 8 it's 11 volts. Those voltages are good on all three op amps. But all other wires, output and input, I had 1.3 volts on all three op amps. And then this doesn't have any logic for me. And then I think maybe we have a problem with this Zener diode, because on these all three pins, all 6 pins, the voltage should be half of the supply voltage. And if we have 11 volts input, all three pins should have 5.5 volts. And this coincidence, 1.3 here and 1.3 here, made me test this Zener diode. And initially on this diode I measure 1.4 volts. I took this diode out, I measured with the tester, and the tester showed me 4 volts. I put this diode back, and sometimes works, sometimes don't works, and I will replace this diode. Now let's make some measurements. So I have 11 volts here from my power supply. Current consumption is 50 milliamps. And as you can see, it's working. The screen now it's on Bluetooth. As you can see, the voltmeter is working when I touch these wires. Now it's working. Now let's measure these voltages. We have 11 volts supply voltage here. It's good. Here it's the output of a step down converter. We have 5 volts. It's good. Here it's the trouble Zener diode. 5.1 volts. Now let's measure the voltage on op amp. As you can see, we have 11 volts supply voltage, and all the pins have 5.1, but this should be half of 11. So I replace this Zener diode with a bigger one. Now let's measure this Zener diode with this tester. Now this shows 6.2 volts, but I will replace it because I don't trust this diode. So I've exchanged this Zener diode with a new one, and now I have to test this capacitor from that rail. Let's test it. This capacitor is perfect. I will put back. I was afraid that it's possible to be problem was with this capacitor, but it's not. Let's put back. Now everything should be good. Let's measure again. Let's measure for the last time before put everything back. Supply voltage is good. Step down it's good. For this voltage is 6.9. Now let's measure the voltage to the op amps. It's not good. Now it's working, but I have to replace to be half of the voltage. It has to be exactly 5.5 volts. So I've replaced the Zener diode with another one. This is exactly 5.6 volts. This is half of the supply voltage. Now let's measure again. Supply voltage 11 volts. Zener voltage 5.4 volts. That's perfect. Now let's measure the voltage of the op amp. It's perfect. It's perfect. Now let's make a test. When I touch here, it's working. Now I will put everything back. So I've put everything back. I connected a speaker here with a step-down transformer. I put a USB stick with no copyright music. Now let's play. This is speaker number 2. It seems it's working. Meter it's working, you can see. So I've managed to repair this public address amplifier, and I hope that this will help you, or at least it was fun. If you have any questions, please put it in a comment, and if you made it so far, please give a big like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.